The water was a shimmering sheet of sapphire, calm and deceptively gentle. Below, the abyss waited, a column of deepening blue that faded into an unknowable black. For Natalia Molchanova, the greatest competitive freediver the world had ever known, this was her sanctuary, her office, her playground. On this day, August 2, 2015, off the coast of Formentera, Spain, the dive was meant to be simple, a recreational plunge, without the pressure of judges, without the pressure of record lines. She was diving for pleasure, a casual descent to around 35 meters, a depth she had surpassed by nearly triple in competition. It was a routine she had performed thousands of times before, a fluid dance between the surface and the deep that was as natural to her as breathing. She took her final preparatory breaths, inhalations, exhalations that saturated her blood with oxygen. Then, with a quiet dip of her head, she slipped beneath the surface, leaving the world of noise and air behind. Her monofin propelled her downward with graceful, powerful strokes, like a human dolphin disappearing into the void. Her friends watched her form shrink, a dark silhouette against the sun-dappled water, until she was consumed by the blue. They waited, their eyes fixed on the spot where she had vanished. If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and share for more incredible journeys beneath the surface. The art of holding your breath. At its core, freediving is underwater diving without breathing apparatus like scuba gear. It is the purest form of aquatic exploration, relying solely on a diver's ability to hold their breath until they return to the surface. This single defining constraint transforms diving from a simple activity into a profound and complex sport. It is an internal journey as much as a physical one, a conversation between the body, the mind, the immense crushing power of the ocean. The sport is not about conquering the sea, it's about becoming one with it, however briefly, by silencing the most basic human urge, the need to breathe. The principles of freediving are rooted in ancient human history. Ama divers of Japan searching for pearls, Bajau people of Southeast Asia living a semi-nomadic life on the water. These traditions showed the human body held a latent aquatic potential. Modern competitive freediving pushed that practice to extremes, organizing it into disciplines. Static apnea, holding your breath for as long as possible. Dynamic apnea, swimming the maximum horizontal distance. Deep diving disciplines like constant weight, descending and ascending under your own power. Freediving is a sport of numbers, each one a barrier once thought unbreakable. How long can a person survive without air? How deep can a human body go before the pressure crushes it? Science once had firm answers. Early physiologists believed the chest would collapse around 30 or 40 meters. They thought lungs compressed to residual volume under pressure. Becoming a competitive freediver is an exercise in transforming a terrestrial mammal into a creature of the deep. The training is relentless. It is multifaceted. It extends far beyond simply practicing holding one's breath. It is a holistic discipline that demands the complete re-engineering of one's body and mind. The physical preparation begins on dry land, long before a diver ever touches the water. Yoga is fundamental. Advanced stretching is fundamental. A freediver's body must be incredibly flexible, particularly the diaphragm, and the intercostal muscles around the rib cage. This flexibility allows the lungs to compress safely under immense pressure. It helps the diver take a larger, more efficient final breath. In the water, the training becomes even more specialized and intense. Divers spend countless hours in the pool perfecting their technique, making every movement as efficient as possible to conserve oxygen. They practice dynamic apnea, swimming long distances with a monofin, finding a state of active meditation where movement becomes automatic. They perform static apnea, floating face down and motionless, training tolerance for carbon dioxide, training tolerance for low oxygen. This is a mental battle fought in utter stillness, pushing past the body's screaming alarms and contractions that signal the urgent need to breathe. A significant portion of training is dedicated to mastering equalization. As a diver descends, the increasing water pressure squeezes the air spaces in the body, most painfully in the ears. Advanced techniques like the mouth fill. If the body is the vessel that travels to the deep, the mind is the captain that must navigate it. In freediving, mental control is not just an advantage, it is the most critical piece of safety equipment a diver possesses. The moment a freediver leaves the surface, they enter a world of profound sensory alteration. The noise of the world above fades into an all-encompassing silence. Light diminishes, colors leach away, pressure builds relentlessly on every square inch of the body. In this environment, the mind can easily become an enemy. A single stray thought of fear or anxiety can trigger a spike in heart rate, burning precious oxygen and turning a comfortable dive into a desperate struggle for survival. The core of a freediver's mental training is the cultivation of a state of absolute calm. Before a dive, athletes perform a ritual of relaxation and breathing known as the breathe up. This isn't about hyperventilating, but about achieving a state of meditative stillness. They slow their breathing focus. Their minds systematically release every ounce of physical and mental tension. They must enter the water with a heart rate that is already exceptionally low and a mind that is completely clear. This state must be maintained throughout the descent, a controlled fall into a dream. Any struggle, any fight against the pressure. The history of freediving is a story of shattered expectations, a relentless march into depths and durations once relegated to science fiction. Each world record is not just a number but a testament to human potential, a milestone in our understanding of our aquatic capabilities. Records are tracked by organizations like ADA CMAS, spread across numerous disciplines, each testing a different facet of a diver's skill. These numbers are staggering. Athletes routinely perform feats that should be impossible. They represent the pinnacle of human adaptation, a place where men and women willingly go to meet pressures that can crush steel. Flagship discipline. Constant weight, or CWT divers descend with a fin, then ascend with a fin. The current men's world record is held by Alexei Molchanov, the son of Natalia Molchanova, who has dived to an astonishing 136 meters 446 feet. That's the equivalent of a 45-story building, a descent and ascent on a single breath. The world of competitive freediving is a small, tight-knit community populated by extraordinary individuals. They are explorers of the vertical blue, driven by a passion that few can understand. Their stories are modern epics of courage, discipline. Perhaps no story embodies this duality more than Jacques Mayol Enzo Mallorca, two rivals whose friendly but fierce competition in the mid-20th century. One of the most revered figures is Umberto Pellizzari. The Italian diver dominated the 1990s, setting records in every discipline he attempted. The story of Audrey Mestre is one of the most compelling and heartbreaking. A brilliant and ambitious French diver, in 2002, off the Dominican Republic, she attempted a dive to 171 meters, but during ascent the lift bag failed to inflate. By the time the safety team retrieved her, she had been underwater for nearly 9 minutes. Her death devastated the community, exposed critical flaws in safety protocols. And then there is Herbert Nitsch, the deepest man on Earth. He designs and builds his own gear. The greatest danger in freediving, the specter that haunts every descent, is hypoxia, or a critical lack of oxygen to the brain. When this happens, the body's final safety mechanism kicks in, a loss of consciousness, commonly known as a blackout. A blackout itself is not inherently fatal. It is the body's way of shutting down non-essential functions to preserve the brain. The heart continues to beat, and if the diver's airway is brought above the surface, they will typically begin breathing again within seconds. The true danger lies in where the blackout occurs. If it happens underwater, even a few feet from the surface, the result is almost always drowning. The most treacherous part of any deep dive is the final ascent, specifically the last 10 to 15 meters. This is often called the blackout zone. As a diver ascends, the ambient water pressure decreases rapidly. According to Boyle's law, the volume of a gas is inversely proportional to the pressure. This means the partial pressure of oxygen in the diver's compressed lungs drops precipitously in these final few meters. A diver who felt perfectly fine at 20 meters deep can suddenly find their oxygen levels fall below the critical threshold just before they reach the air, leading to a sudden, unexpected blackout with no warning. This is known as a shallow water blackout, and it is the most common cause of fatal freediving accidents. Another serious risk is a samba, or a loss of motor control. This is a step before a full blackout. The list of talented and beloved freedivers who have lost their lives to the sport is tragically long. Each name represents a personal tragedy for friends and family and a painful lesson for the whole community. These were not reckless daredevils but highly trained, methodical athletes. Their deaths are a somber reminder of the unforgiving deep. The case of Nicholas Mavoli in 2013. He was 32. A rising American star, he attempted constant weight no fins to 72 meters. He surfaced, gave the OK signal, then lost consciousness. Autopsy, severe lung squeeze. The loss of Natalia Molchanova in 2015 was perhaps the most shocking. Her motto, "If we do what is right in freediving, there is no place for accidents." Why do they do it? Why, in the face of such obvious and fatal risks? Do people continue to tie themselves to a line and plunge into the crushing blackness? The answer is as deep and complex as the ocean itself. For many, it is not about dicing with death, but about feeling intensely alive. In a world saturated with noise distraction, constant stimulation, the deep offers a rare and profound silence. It is a place where the external world vanishes, and the internal world comes into sharp focus. The act of holding one's breath forces a state of absolute presence, a meditative focus on the here and now that is difficult to achieve in any other way. There is also the powerful allure of exploration, not just of the ocean, but of the self. To discover that you can hold your breath for 5 minutes or dive to 50 meters is to unlock a potential you never knew you had. It is a way of tapping into our ancient, dormant aquatic blueprint, and for that feeling, for those few precious moments of pure, silent blue freedom, they are willing to risk everything.